Shavua Tov, everyone. Welcome to Tiltilos Tell Stories for Saturday night. The title of this week's video is Hippie Rage. I adapted it from the translation of Tuvia Natkin for his book Our Man in the Car, based on the Hebrew original Ravim Heishev L'Manavon by Aaron Dov Halpern, the editor of Far Chabad magazine. And this video is dedicated for the soul elevation of Tuvia and Devorah Natkin's son, Moshe Chaim ben Tuvia Mordechai Halevi. One Friday night, in the middle of a festive Shabbat dinner at a Chabad House in California, a startling loud knock reverberated through the room. One of the rabbi's children ran to open the door, and surprised, there stood a young man with hair as long as our exile. He entered quickly and scanned the room. Before anybody could ask anything, he headed for the dining room table and without a word found a seat among the 10 or so guests of the rabbi, his wife, and their children. It was clear that no one knew who he was, nor did he recognize anyone there. The rabbi tried to engage him in conversation, but he maintained his silence. The Rebbitzin served him some gefilte fish, but he wouldn't touch it. He neither drank, ate, nor spoke. His features suggested a melange of astonishment and rage. The dinner resumed, somehow detouring around the unusual guests. Hasidic melodies flowed, interspersed with Torah insights, questions and answers from the guests. It was an enthusiastic and inspiring experience for them. Yet a typical Shabbat evening dinner at nearly every table of a shliach, of a representative of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. The guest maintained his silence, but it was the quiet of an approaching thunderstorm. Flashes of anger, increasing intensity. From time to time, the rabbi toasted him l'chaim and offered him a cup to do the same, but there was no reaction, only silence and rage. Whenever the rabbi glanced his way during the singing and conversation, he appeared self-absorbed, paying no attention to anything or anyone, just sitting. Then, without warning, the long-haired apparition leaped from his chair toward the portrait of the Lubavitcher Rebbe on the wall, tore it down, smashed it on the floor, and as he did, he kept shrieking, "What does this man want from me? Why won't he let me live? What did I ever do to him?" His story and what lay behind his behavior eventually came out. He explained, he was born in San Francisco, the son of a prosperous businessman and leading UJA, a United Jewish Appeal activist. His mother was a successful lawyer. Like most young Americans, he received the Young American Jews standard educational fare. His sole religious experience was his bar mitzvah party. Attending college at Berkeley, he soon found his place with others who had cast off comfortable backgrounds and bourgeois values to adapt the lifestyle of the hippies. Within a few months of searching for the meaning of life, beyond drugs and other countercultural elixirs, they had wandered through the Far East until they arrived in India. Eventually, they found their place in an idolatrous sect which advocated complete isolation from the world. Any connection with parents, family, or acquaintances was forbidden. He spent a pleasant year and a half there. Though a number of his friends had cracked under the pressure and left in the middle, he remained resolute. Then, one day, a week earlier, he had felt a sudden urge to return home. He had no idea what had come over him and had assumed it would pass, but it was irrepressible. He booked a ticket on the first available flight. His parents were stunned to see him. A year and a half had passed with no sign of life, and now he was standing at their door. After embracing, his father shouted abruptly, "Wait a second, now I understand. You came to take the dollar." "Dollar?" he asked. "What dollar?" Then the father told his story. This past weekend, in advance of their trip to Israel in 2 weeks, there was a 2-day meeting in New York for UJA leaders in the U.S. All 35 of us came on Sunday, the day before yesterday, to the Lubavitcher Rebbe to receive from him a blessing and $1 to be distributed to charity. The Rebbe spoke a few minutes with the group's leader, and then he gave each of us $1 and his blessings for success. I received my $1 and started to leave, when the Rebbe called me back and gave me another $1. "For your older son," he said. The line carried me outside before I could tell the Rebbe that I would not be able to give the $1 to you, because it was already 1.5 years that you were away from home, and I had no clue where. Well, no big deal, I thought, so I'll have another $1 in my pocket. Now, though, all of a sudden you appear, and I'm intrigued. Tell me, how did the Lubavitcher Rebbe know you were coming home? What's your connection with him? His son, meanwhile, was putting things together. Dad, wait a second. You said he gave you $1 for me last Sunday. What time was it in New York? 3:30 in the afternoon. After calculating the difference in hours, the son recalled the precise moment of that sudden impulse, and his rage at the Rebbe began to boil. You have to understand, he addressed the astonished rabbi. I was really happy there for 1.5 years. It was my whole life. What difference does it make to your Rebbe if somebody like me is satisfied? I've been running around all day like a crazed rat trying to catch a return flight, but I can't. Each time I even think about it, I feel something pulling me back to stay here. I can't explain it. I saw your newspaper ad this evening with a picture of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and I came here. Please, ask your Rebbe to let go of me. Here's his $1. Just give it back to him. Years later, there was an extraordinary sequel to this story. Professor and former Knesset member Avner Shaki, Oliver Shalom, relates the following. Years ago, preparing for a trip to California, I wrote down the address of the Chabad representative at my destination. I knew there wasn't anywhere in California without a shliach of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Friday afternoon, I called him, introduced myself, and was warmly invited to be his Shabbat guest. At the Shabbat evening prayers, I was surprised to see so many young Hasidim in a city far from the beaten path. They were all Bali Tshuva, I was told. The synagogue was filled with young people with kippot and students. The shliach gave a talk before the prayers began, and everyone listened attentively. Walking back to the Shabbat dinner, we were accompanied by another 15 or so guests, mostly students. The atmosphere at the Shabbos table was splendid. Soulful Chabad melodies, Torah insights, and quizzes alternated with tales of tzaddikim and wide-open discussions. I was even asked to say a few words myself. Everyone felt uplifted. Suddenly, the door burst open, and in walked 3 straggly hippies dressed like, God help us, I haven't the words. Sitting at the table crudely, they devoured the challah and fish, swallowing everything like gluttonous demons. The rabbi sat without a word, then a smile. Hey, guys, what's happening? I was quite upset by all this, but said nothing. At the end of the meal, though, I asked the host, what's going on here? In the middle of such a wonderful and inspiring evening, how do you allow these wild men to invade your home? To put it mildly, they added little honor to your Shabbat table. He answered me with a sentence I'll never forget. Take a good look at them, he said, nodding at the 3 hippies gorging themselves at the other end of the room. You see how they look? Well, that's just how I appeared years ago when one Shabbat evening I burst into the home of a California Chabad shliach. And so it goes, one Bal Tshuva after another, one Shabbat meal after another, another mitzvah, and soon the one above will have to just allow in the redemption and King Mashiach to lead it. Have an excellent week. And don't forget to go to a Farbrengen in honor of the Lubavitcher Rebbe's 11th Yortzeit, which starts tonight.